we come to we studio guest Thomas Dixon. We go with I as the Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact na United States Government Development Program. We them they implement na poor country them like Salon for reduce pass mark poor and grow the economy. And before the 2023 election, the country been there on the process for win this compact. But this, according to the outgoing U.S. ambassador to Salon, David Reimer, the U.S. government will stop the MCC compact development for SOTE. Government set up independent body for investigate concern them we come out inside the June 24, 2023 election. Well, for sake of this, we get Thomas Dixon inside the program. Once again,
waiting be keeper in statement at that. He said before now, in the background, they don't tell the government, see, a free, fair, and transparent election, apart from the statement the way they make, that can be interpreted as the individual, and it gets some discrepancy. You know, go look at them as diplomatic statements. Some of them statements are very wild. In fact, some of them make illogical comparison, flawed comparison between Sierra Leone and the United States of America. Say sovereignty is important despite our economy. Yes, we are all state. But the fact of the matter is that when it comes to, I remember who been win this MCC compact. The same people now when they talk about sovereignty, we are all in the place shouting, rejoicing that we don't win this MCC compact. Now the United States, they try for ask the government about election accountability. They will begin for, you know, this is the common practice in Sierra Leone. When it comes to accountability issue, would they begin for compare ourselves in terms of sovereignty? But when we want money, we don't talk about sovereignty. So for me, I think the sovereignty issue, if we are so sovereign as a nation, you ask yourself, why we are not economically independent? You ask yourself, why even sitting ministers in government, they prefer let a woman and go born in America than he born in Salon. Every now and then, Sierra Leoneans they fight for play DV for go America. Americans on the other hand, they play anything or want for come na Sierra Leone. The Americans say want for pump in up to 500 million United States dollar into economy through the MCC compact, and then we shout about sovereignty. Why, in fact, in the first place, we subject ourselves because the MCC has scorecards and you get indicators. Why we subject ourselves to those scorecards and those indicators if we are so sovereign? So I think say the argument about sovereignty is not all water. Not so only where it comes to where other people are all we accountable. We go to shout at the rooftop that we are sovereign states and so on and so forth.
Dixie, they can look at their reactions them from individual ministers, though you believe say represent the view of the government, but these are government ministers, and we can look at their statement them or if you get any impact to the relationship between Salon and the US government. But earlier, one part the statement them with the US ambassador make mention of now the National Electoral System Review Committee we government set up, and the ambassador, according to Ramsey, he not believe say that body independent because now a candidate in the election in the Edam. But when he talk to government on the other hand, then go tell you say the review not get anything for do with the past elections, and he gets 2 mandates them winner for review the prevailing legal framework related to institutional and operational arrangement and local and international observer missions reports. And same way, so you get to propose key reforms for institutionalizing the recommendations to enhance the operations of the entire electoral architecture in Sierra Leone. That's the side of government that this, or waiting the ambassador to say, it totally missed the point. The reform we talk about, or we government set up, not anything we do with the elections.
For me, I not think say the people in our government really listen, carefully listen, take their time and listen. The American ambassador, then just jump into shouting at the rooftop, taking issues the way in the American ambassador say. Obviously, if we do an election, independent election review, you not get forget that kind of effect because the laws are very clear. We get to laws in Sierra Leone. But waiting this they show now for let we get future election and be transparent. That is what the American ambassador was saying here at, in an exclusive interview with Naya. So for me, I not think say the talk about the statement, and the man very clear, and from a common sense perspective, you can't say you are setting up a national independent election committee and then you put somebody the way contest at the election for be the chairman of the election of that committee. You don't expect anything good for commodity, because the vice president and the American ambassador not question the integrity of the vice president. The states and clearly say the vice president is somebody we get respect for and we get huge integrity. But the fact
And today inside this edition, we they look at the effect where the country go get if Salon lost the MCC compact couple where the US government can get to the country for develop different sector them. And for talk on this issue, we get still between the studio Thomas Dixon, a social commentator. We don't take your view on the whole interview or the outgoing US ambassador and the effect where this will get if Salon lost this particular couple. Dixon, over to you on this whole particular issue. From where this whole issue starts since last week to now, you think say the government of Salon in any way though really take the statement from the outgoing US ambassador with seriousness?
Other than reactions on social media and the information minister in reaction, as I say, the government now come out with a measured statement on the whole issue, particularly on an important point we get for deal with sacrificing up to 400 million United States dollar MCC compact grant waiting for Sierra Leone, where this could directly benefit the people of Sierra Leone. They not tell me about that. In fact, people and ministers and just they talk about sovereignty, and they talk about continued relationship between Sierra Leone and America. But the ambassador is very clear. Some they say that the opinion of the ambassador. The ambassador is very clear that this is the stance of the United States government. So if it is the stance of the United States government, and you know compare Salon to America, that world power. So in the geopolitics, you know they even count Sierra Leone. So I think say we need a measured statement.
No.
On this issue.
Dixon, quick one. You're talking about quick one. You're talking about major statements. I come to Jimmy Turner on our Facebook page. They say was the statement from the U.S. ambassador, or the outgoing U.S. ambassador, from an individual or a press release by their government or embassy. Now that individual from the government have responded, you still want a formal response from the government?
Well, having a public notice from the government of Sierra Leone, for the records, they tell we the people them. Waiting at the government of Sierra Leone their own stance, particularly in points that way makes it at the background. We don't discuss these issues with the government.
Government in a closed door rather than come with all entire public. The view also they for say this will make the opposition during the dialogue process on the withdraw say well. They're not going to take part.
I don't think say the opposition get for withdraw in dialogue, because the American ambassador instance also on the opposition refusal for for to in governance. It's very clear that the opposition need for going governance, and the man in statement always it talk to it points towards future election. So I don't think say the opposition, if the opposition necessarily listen the interview carefully, then go no say the need for engage in dialogue. And this sort of just we see 2 weeks ago Commonwealth, the Secretary General of Commonwealth, writes a public statement to the government and people of Sierra Leone, encouraging politicians for take political leadership. When we make the leader of the APC, Dr. Samuel Kamara, tweet say they are open to dialogue. So this is the time, if the opposition SSF listen keenly to what the American ambassador say, therefore no say this is the time, therefore engage in meaningful dialogue.
So the MCC threshold program, the support policy reform, build institutional capacity, and other one then. If the country put some of the things in place, where the outgoing ambassadors suggest, according to this they show a simply playing field of democracy, especially the August for the election review committee for say you're not going to take somebody for review a committee for investigate things that we go on, that you get somebody with the benefit from a party. If all length are not in place. Waiting this go mean to some of, the area them where the threshold of the MCC compact the benefits.
First of all, we don't done the threshold. Sierra Leone don't done the threshold. We don't get $44 million for the threshold, and the threshold been benefit up to 15,000 Sierra Leoneans. It been benefit policy. It been create policy reforms at the energy and water sector, wherein we see the unbundling of former National Power Authority to EDSA, and now we get the EGTC. And also, we also see also we get a water regulatory commission now. So those are the policy reforms where the threshold will just conclude being speak to. Now we can go into a more broader funding from the United States government. And mark you, in December of 2020, when they select Sierra Leone also been the only country where we pass forget the compact. But Sierra Leone have been the only country where they been select forget that the compact in that year. When me say Sierra Leone don't make enormous progress from 2019 to 2021, we don't make consistent progress now the MCC scorecard. For that we can lose this compact now just because of we not yield to the demands of the government, the United States government, when are simple demands for ensure say we election transparent or future election and transparent. Let us set up a committee and let we engage in dialogue. I think say it go bad for the people of Sierra Leone.
Now, Dixon, looking at the demand of the U.S. government or within the U.S. ambassador communicate to Sierra Leone people, you think governments go for independent investigation committee into the election process, or government go rather win the MCC? Which one of you think government go prefer at this moment?
For me, not only in the minds of government. For me, I think say government get for look at the state where they in. Sierra Leone they in a terrible state, and the MCC compact already in May of this year, MCC be non signed waiting and called aid memoir with the government of Sierra Leone, where they provide about $11 million for facilitate the development of the compact. And government be don't look at electricity as the major challenge to economic transformation na Salone. So this is huge for Sierra Leone. We not go say because just because of an election we can lose this major transformation. We forget not just in the electricity sector, but also something will go affect the economy and we go give we private sector investment.
Would your state say Salone in a terrible state? What do you mean exactly in that context?
We just on paper we are about 34-35% access to electricity. With this,
what do you mean on paper?
Well, it's on paper because not to everywhere they get electricity. Some parts in the country they get.
So not to reality.
Some parts, especially Freetown, electricity supply there, but sometimes it's very epileptic, particularly in dry season. So if we get the MCC compact, where they can invest hugely, particularly in the transmission lines, because that is what government has designed, in the transmission lines of our country, because the transmission line and they create problem in the energy sector. If we get this kind of investment, it will ensure say we get electricity, and it will also bring private sector investment in our country, where will give employment to people.
Congress. So in other words, now the parliament, now the body way they make law, now they decide this in January 2004, and they get a bipartisan support. So both Republicans and Democrats agree that they for do this program for help for deliver U.S. assistance, foreign assistance, and to many countries across the world, particularly in developing countries in Africa, and then determine threefold objective of this assistance. One, now for promote economic growth. Two, now for reduce poverty. And then three, now for strengthen institutions. So that's the goal of the MCC. And they don't need this assistance to many African countries. And Sierra Leone, of course, we don't get partly on the threshold. Now we don't qualify for the compact. We're not the huge money. And indeed, that's something where we all look forward to for let we get them, because it will make a huge difference in the country in terms of economic growth, reducing poverty, and strengthening institutions. Now, going to in question, on the effort so far. Yes, we observe the elections and we report out, and we don't even tend our report to ECSL, and because we believe that the body and the way they conduct elections in Sierra Leone. And it gets very tough recommend. New institutions, then, they do very well in the area of oversight, in the energy and water sector. Then they come to existence because of the threshold, the $44 million where Sierra Leone may win. So MCC gets tendency for drive institutional growth and even economic, as growth as well as reducing poverty. So water business now, well, we not reach date, but at the very least, there are many efforts to be made, and they mitigate the hardship in terms of water crisis in our country. And of course, even the energy, we're still far from reaching there, but at least efforts don't be made in terms of getting, that minimum, outage where at least possible for manage at the moment. So MCC gets tendency for drive growth and expansion and reduce poverty and help for strengthening institutions them. If we get them, so then we want this to happen, and we don't want anything will create problem for let we miss out. We don't come too far for make we sleep at this moment.
Lawyer Rashid Dumbia, we come back to you in the executive director for Legal Link. As today inside the program, we they look at the effect where the country go get if Salo lost the MCC compact couple with the US government can get to the country. Inside the program now we they go for a break.
Use cement when a superior quality. Cement where they give you value for your money. Cement where they settle your wahala where you can get pan cement business. Cement where they show you the strangeness usai in matter. Cement where mix international standard. And that's not Dangote 42.5R grade 3 export land limestone cement. When a good quality and best cement na the country. You know see when me building Timap Ticket and Tranga, Dangote 42.5R grade cement, na the highest grade pan cement. GT Bank they give. GT Bank, it go better. You bank with we.
On press freedom, on issue on civil rights and liberties. So there are many indicators. Ruling justly, right? Good governance indicators, control on corruption. These are all even child rights issues, child welfare issues are all assessed. So there are many things the MCC they capture before you qualify. Thankfully, we don't qualify and eligible for the compact. But the sustainability of them is very key, because there's no one for make you just put things in place and get the qualification, then you not sustainably continue for implement them. Now this is not the fair. And Sierra Leone need for understand say MCC qualification is not enough. There should be effort to sustain it. That is exactly what it. The no one for can give money to marry. It will slip back and go to things. Then it will question the entire process. That's why the U.S. ambassador, exceptionally, because it was a very tough interview, and I thank Musa do a brave work there. Even though I understand say a lot of bashing they go against them, but it's wrong. It's a brave work that was done, and that kind of opinion they important at this moment for like commander do. Not a bad thing is say. At least the interview, very objective interview. You talk about even APC for go back in the parliament. When are something where we don't call? We are I think few of the CSO that we get in mind for say APC for go back. We receive a lot of bashing for that one day. But today we are proud because even the US government don't side with we say it's the right call that we made. So when they do anything else, so we know they think on what people in the airport say or not say. We are doing in good faith for the betterment of we nation. That's what he said. So that element was ignored. Now, the element on the independence of the investigation committee, now on Monday, see. We correct. I mean, the vice president can be an actor in the elections. You cannot now set up a review of that election and put that actor the way it's very, very, very germane to that past election. Then there will be conflict of interest. So as a lawyer, me go even argue on conflict of interest issues, arising in that formation there. So the idea was welcoming. We thank the president for where he set up this committee, but he have to look back and perhaps restructure them in ways we go bring independent people in. We go able to deliver on this mandate, because eventually, and I think this is the fear of even the opposition. So I'm talking to many opposition people. It's not like they want for hope for reverse everything again. But this is the fear, like in the future, if they don't take their stance now, it might happen again in 2028. So everybody is concerned about our next election. That's why we are all joining forces to say, hey, waiting happen so it not happen again. There are many countries that are going to election related violence and war because the electoral commission not do the right thing. So we they say we know one kind of thing for happen at the country. Let we do the right thing. Let we get this review correct, and let we do proper commission and reforms them. We know we create this problem again. And so we don't review already. We don't pass report to the ACSL. Very comprehensive report on how to manage the counting, the tallying process in ways that nobody will question at the end of the day.
So, Lawyer Rashid, in
Yes.
terms of this whole situation, from the response and how government no handle this situation, you think the government ready for let the country lost that?
As we dey now, electricity now one of the major challenges. Ask people that we get factory, they will tell you the amount of money where they spend for buy fuel for the generator because of the electricity problem. So for me, I think say as a state we need to engage in continued dialogue with the United States government.
But with the approach,
And we not get for use an arrogant approach. We not get for use an approach where not good for we, a posture we not good for we. We get for use a posture where very good. And when you listen the American ambassador, this not where they don't discuss over and over again. Even before the election, they don't discuss our government.
But
on a need for ensure say this election when it come is free, fair, and transparent. The problem with the election, where almost all the observers that they identify, now the transparency in the tabulation process. Not that the election totally get problem, but in the tabulation process, all man they ask about transparency. So now then the United States they suggest we need to forget financial support or logistical support to the committee, but we will get an independent person. When not the party A, when not the party B.
Nanja ise wakabota say yeso. He say you know that the capitalist team. Na sebo nobo. Na inde say na Uncle J boy. Na ya de ata sebo uda na this Uncle J boy. Na inde say wakabot boy you know no bread and butter. Na say oh. I say na ina the coach man. Na I say oh my good friend. I say he lost, oh, he lost. But we go meet up now the game. Team go first. Oh yeah, now show me paddy. Now show you left wheel. You man big man. Kuya. You are fumble. I say what talk about youth. Say something cross my mind. I say no to all people who you see go maintain mine. You go say now because of the work. Na person do me yesterday tell me say what about. He say you know say part of the minister the regular put now. As the one smell the rat so he smell the rat say then they can go. Now he go call people papa them. People uncool them, people chief them, then come to go. As then she goes to.
bias is part of human nature. You just make an analogy of the committee, for instance.
Another message from in Facebook where you say, I believe government have the interest of its citizens, so they will definitely look and also implement some of the statements made by the outgoing US ambassador because that is the right thing to do, to work in the interest and take decision that will benefit all Sierra Leoneans.
This one had been already taken again at the record. It say was the statement from the former U.S. ambassador from an individual or a press statement by their government or embassy. Now that individuals from government have responded, you still want a formal response from the government.
Another message where they take this other person, they say, why is it that
Donald Trump that the 2020 election was stolen from him? We never heard of any review, either national or external.
Okay, well, we think say that will be enough for today for the message them as we'll come over to the studio guest them. And we'll start with Thomas Dixon, social commentator, for let you respond to the message them.
Somebody say they talk about the American scenario we happen with Trump. We still say Donald Trump they face multiple charges for
96
attempt away make for let them overturn the election results. Also, and vice president says they come out and talk. Say this man be want for that do thing they will not for do. For me, I think say this is the first time we get a national review on the election. If now any other country we like you say serious state, by the time the president pronounce say we dey get a national review of the election, the electoral commissioner, the chief, and all the commissioner they resign.
Particular issue, waiting will be some of you